Corvin Hase Lord Hayes, Goth Von Cor. This is the story of Johnny and Johnny, a fable of the road. The rain had just stopped smearing the windows of Johnny G's rig. Fat, wet lines like the world trying to forget its own face. His big truck hissed on the steaming road, engine gurgling like it had just swallowed something it shouldn't. He had another 4 hours of highway ahead and a thermos full of burnt coffee to get him there. That's when he saw her. No, not her. A figure on the side of the road, thumb out, eyes hidden beneath a hood that didn't belong to this century. Johnny G slowed down, not because he was the kind of man that did that kind of thing, but because something about the figure made his stomach churn, like it knew his name before he did. "Need a ride?" he called out the window. The hitchhiker climbed in without a word, sat still, real still, like a photo you ain't seen the whole of yet. Johnny G glanced sideways. The figure was slight, soft in places, but there was a deep wrongness under the surface. Not bad wrong, not good wrong, just older than the shape they wore. "You got a name?" clearing his throat. "Johnny." He blinked. "That right?" "It is today," said the behemoth. Johnny G chuckled nervously. "Well, hell, guess that makes two of us." For a while, they rode in silence. The truck hummed. The sky began to leak light through clouds like heaven couldn't keep itself together. Johnny, the behemoth, looked out the window, skin ashy like it had been rubbed down by wind and time. "You ever been assumed?" Johnny asked. Johnny G kept his eyes on the road. "What you mean?" "I mean, someone saw you and decided they knew who you were, what you wanted, what you deserved." Johnny G said nothing. Johnny the behemoth turned to him. Their eyes, when they showed, were the black of wet obsidian and full of stars no telescope could find. "They thought I was one of them, and they tried to break me for it. They tried to tame me, to cleanse me. I was 13. They baptized me until I stopped breathing and called it deliverance. I was 15 when I screamed so loud a window shattered. I was 17 when I stopped trying to be pretty enough for them to ignore what scared them. The cab got cold. Do you know what it's like to be loved in pieces?" Johnny whispered. "To be adored as long as you pretend to be what they can manage?" Johnny G's hands clenched the wheel. The road got blurrier. I didn't mean no offense," he said, his voice crackling like a boy's. You got a place you're going, right? I don't mean to be rude, but you want me to leave?" Johnny G swallowed. I can't take no more of this." The behemoth looked confused, or maybe they wanted to. Maybe it was kindness. Maybe it was cruelty. You said you'd take me where I needed to go. Please, Johnny G whispered. Get out of my truck. The rain started again. Johnny stepped out, silent. The door shut behind them like a confession. Johnny G sat in the cab alone, shaking, like something just walked through him that wasn't meant to exist in his world. Like the mirror inside him got cracked in two. Johnny the behemoth walked into the distance without looking back. They had somewhere to go, a place where assumptions turned to ash, and every step they took was a mile away from the cages built by people who thought they could name them. The road kept winding after Johnny was gone, but it didn't feel like Johnny G was alone. His hands trembled on the wheel, and the cab still smelled like something ancient and wet, like cave breath or the lungs of the earth. He tried to shake it off, turned up the static on the radio. Till it was just white hiss, like a ghost sighing. But his mind wouldn't quit. You ever been assumed? The words scraped against him, and they stuck. He thought back to a rest stop outside Amarillo, where he'd met Corbin Lord Hayes, some wiry fella in tattered clothes, talking in poems and riddles while he patched a flat tire with what looked like electrical tape and a prayer. Corbin had said something that Johnny G remembered clearly. If you call someone crazy, either you're an idiot or you're cruel, or both. Johnny G laughed in his face. Man's on something, he muttered to himself later, watching Corbin walk barefoot into the desert night, singing to the stars like they owed him money. But now that felt hollow, empty. Maybe Corbin wasn't high. Maybe Johnny G was just so buried in his own boxed-in world that anything bigger than that looked like madness. Maybe Corbin didn't need drugs. Maybe he was just one of those people that could see, and what he saw made Johnny G feel small and stupid and less alive. Hell, maybe that's why he laughed. It wasn't the last time he assumed something stupid. There was that waitress in Kansas who wore her hair high and her skirts low, and he figured she was a flirt. But she just had a crooked spine and no time for fools. There was a boy in Tulsa, the one with the pink nails and the angry eyes, who spat when Johnny G stared too long. You got a problem? The boy had asked, and Johnny G had shaken his head, even though he did have a problem. But it wasn't the boy. It was the mirror. It was always the mirror. Now, he was starting to wonder, maybe every time he called someone strange, he was just pointing at something in himself he didn't want to see. Something wild, something broken. He drove through the next hour like he was half outside his body, haunted by those obsidian eyes. The behemoth had seen him, not just looked, seen. And Johnny G was starting to see too. The truck hummed, the sky bruised in the twilight. He pulled over at a rest stop, one of those forgotten ones where the vending machines don't work and the light buzzes like it's trying to remember its own name. He sat with the engine off. The world so quiet it hurt. Maybe I owe a lot of people an apology, he said out loud. A coyote howled in the distance. He almost thought he heard someone laughing gently, not mocking, but knowing, not cruel, but cosmic.